Okay, so we're going to talk about radicals, because to do the next topics that we're going to do, we have to be able to do this skill. So simplifying radical. A radical is just a fancy word for square root. So like if we have like a 150 on the inside of the square root, we know that you can square root and turn it into a decimal, but we're going to turn it into like where there's a number on the outside and a number on the inside of the radical. So how do I do that? Well, you're going to factor the number on the inside of the radical. So like this 150, we would be factoring that. That means we're like breaking this up into numbers that multiply to 150. Okay, so how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to use prime numbers to factor. So like a 2, a 3, 5, 7, and 11 we're going to add on at the end. If you cannot divide by any of those numbers, then you can't break this number down anymore. So after you factor a number, you're going to cross it off. You're going to circle any pairs of numbers. If a number is in a pair, then that means it gets to come out of the little house. And so you would write it on the outside. If there's more than one number that gets to come out or more than one number that is left inside, then you're going to multiply them together. So let's take a look at these examples. Okay, so I'm going to start by trying to divide 90. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little tree that's going to break this number up into two separate numbers. So again, the list of numbers that I'm going to try dividing by is 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. So if I divide by one of these numbers and I get a decimal, then I do not write it down. If it's a decimal, that means you can't divide by that number. So I'm going to try dividing 90 by 2. So all I have to do is type 90 divided by 2, and it's a 45. That's a whole number, so I'm going to write that as now that's 2 and 45. Okay, so 2, if it's one of these numbers, I can't divide 2 by anything to get a different number other than 2. So I'm going to try to divide 45 by a number, because 45 is a big number. I know I can probably divide that. So let's go back to our calculator. We're going to do 45 divided by 2. Oh, that's a decimal. If I look over here, decimal. So I'm not, like, I can't divide by 2, so I have to try to divide by something else. So instead of dividing by 2, I'm going to try, well, let's divide by 3. Oh, that's a whole number. Okay, so I can write that down. So I'm doing 3 and 15. So I just divided this number, so I'm going to cross it off so I don't get confused. I don't actually want that as part of my answer. My new answer is going to be the numbers that I get at the bottom of the tree. So 2 I can't divide, 3 I can't divide, 15 I could divide that. So let's try dividing. So let's try 15 divided by 2. Oh, that's a decimal, can't use that. So let's try dividing by 3, and it gives me 5. That's a whole number, I can write it. So I have 3 and 5, and I cross out 15 because I just divided it. Now, all the numbers at the bottom of these little like branches, okay, all of them are prime numbers, so I cannot divide any of them more. So I'm ready to circle what are my pairs, what pairs of numbers, or which number appears twice. Well, I see I got a 3 and a 3. That's a pair of 3s. So that gets to come out of the little house. But 5 and 2, they don't have a pair, so they both have to stay on the inside of the house. So in my answer, I'm going to have a square root. I am writing the pair that gets to come out. I'm only writing one of those pairs on the outside, like one of those numbers. I don't put 3, 3. I just put a 3. Okay. And then the 2 and the 5 both have to stay on the inside. And I said, well, if you have 2 numbers that are left over, you need to multiply them. So we're going to do 2 times 5 on the inside. So final answer, 3 is still on the outside. Square root is still there. 2 times 5 is 10. So final answer is 3 square root of 10. Okay. Let's look at the next one. So on the next one, it's square root of 192. So I try to start dividing. I'm going to try to divide 192. I start by 2, and then if 2 doesn't work, I go to 3, and then 5, and then 11. So here we go, 192 divided by 2 is 96. That's a whole number. I can use that. So I have 2, 96. Cross out the 192 because I divided it. All right, 2 I can't divide, but 96 I can divide. So let's try. 96 divided by 2. Enter. Oh, it's a whole number, 48. I can use it. So I have 2 and 48. I just divided 96, so I cross that out. That's not going to be my answer. Let's try dividing 48. 48 divided by 2. It's a whole number, so I can write it. So 2 and 24. Cross out the 48. 24 I can divide. Divided by 2 is 12. I can write it. 2 and 12. Cross out 24. 12 I can divide by 2. I know 12 divided by 2 is 6. I don't need to type that in. And then 6 I can divide by 2 and I get 3. And all the bottom of my branches are all prime numbers, so I'm done dividing. So now I am circling pairs. So I have a lot of 2s, so I'm going to have a lot of pairs. I'm still only circling them in groups of 2. So here's a group of 2. Here's a group of 2. Here's a group of 2. And then my leftover is 3. So how many 2s am I going to write on the outside of the square root? Well, I'm going to put 3 2s because there are 1, 2, 3 groups. So I'm doing 2 times 2 times 2 on the outside. 1, 2 for each group. And then my 3 is left alone on the inside. I type 2 times 2 times 2. It is not 6. Make sure you type it. So I'm doing 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to put 8 square root of 3 is my answer. Let's quickly do 2 more problems. Here we go. So we have a 99. We would do it the same way. Break it down. Try to start dividing. Again, the numbers we divide by are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. There are more prime numbers in the world, but typically these are the ones that we're going to encounter the most. So if you can't do it by these, you probably can't do it at all. So 99 we try breaking down. 99 divided by 2. Oh, 2 doesn't work this time, so I gotta try something else. 99 divided by 3 is 33. That works. So we're gonna do 3 and 33. Cross out 99. So let's try dividing 33. Divided by 2. Oh, that's a decimal, so let's try divided by 3 is 11. I cross out 33. Oh, 11 is one of my prime numbers. So I'm done dividing. I can't divide anymore. So I'm circling pairs. So I have a pair of 3s. And what's left over is my 11. So this one's pretty easy. There's only one pair of 3s. So I put 3 on the outside, 11 on the inside. And that's final answer. And this last one over here, there's already a number on the outside. So you're not going to worry about this number until you get to the end. So we're still going to start by dividing 45. So we're doing 45 divided by 2. Oh, that's a decimal. It doesn't work. So let's try divided by 3. Oh, that's 15. So we have 3 and 15. We cross out the 45. Let's try dividing 15. 15 divided by 2. Oh, it's a decimal. Can't use it. Try divided by 3 is a 5. So I have 3 and 5. Cross out the 15. The bottom, these are all prime numbers, so I'm done dividing. So let's circle our pairs. I got a pair of 3s. Okay, so 3 goes on the outside. What's left over is the 5 goes on the inside. But I have this 6 on the outside to start, so that's still part of my answer. I'm going to stick it in front. And we know when we have multiple numbers, we're supposed to multiply them. So 6 times 3 is going to turn into 18 square root of 5. Final answer. Okay? If you have any questions, make sure you send Ms. Thompson a message. Otherwise, go ahead and get started on today's practice.